Hello, hello, hello. My name is Ted Crow. I am the Barefoot Craftsman.
The Barefoot Craftsman. My stuff.
This is the first video that I will start out with. It is my very first one of any that I will do. I am a unemployed, semi-retired engineer. I have been in the engineering field for nearly 30 years. In the last couple of years, I've found it hard to be employed by your average company. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired of listening to other people tell me how to do things. I'm setting out on my own. I'm starting up my own business, the Barefoot Craftsman. We do wood projects, we being me, myself, and I. And that I had to take a look because my wife's back there. She's always interrupting me. Show you how to take stuff that you can find at Salvation Army or Goodwill or wherever, the dump, and turn it into something not only useful, but something you can sell. So I'm going to head on out to the shop and we're going to get right into it.
Let's go out here to the shop and see what kind of mess we got. Smoke. Everybody likes a smoke, except for those people who are not smokers. And what I got here on my hands is a project, probably the first project we'll do, which is a TV stand. And it was brought to me by a neighbor, and it's a piece of junk. My last employer was a total dickhead, and now I'm unemployed. And I'm unemployed because he was such an arrogant, self-centered fucking asshole that he didn't like it when I tried to interject my worldly experience in what my job required me to do was to set up the engineering department. But he was such a dickhead, he couldn't really get it. So after almost 2 years of employ, the guy decided that he was going to passive-aggressively try to make me quit by making me do things only after he approved them, but then he wouldn't approve them. Okay, I talked about this TV stand, which was in pieces when you saw it last time. And here it is, kind of stacked together. It's just stacked together. The thing actually broke because it's made out of particle board. And it broke because it was wrapped in paper and, you know, packing tape and that kind of crap. And basically what happened is it fell apart when I was trying to unwrap it. The client, neighbor down the street, he evidently thinks he's in storage wars or something like that. And he got a whole bunch of junk out of a storage locker. This was basically free to him, and he was so intrigued by it because it's got a pattern on the top of it. It has been stained, and then somebody tried to refinish it, and you can actually like scrape it off because they did a really bad job of refinishing it. They just basically painted over it with a lacquer stain of some sort. But since it was made out of some particle board components. As you can see, it's pretty much a piece of junk. Piece of junk. Junk. Piece of junk. Junk. Piece of junk. But we are going to turn it into a very nice piece for this guy, and he's going to be giving it to his mother. So here's the top of it. This is basically why he wants to keep it. As you can see, it has inlay of different types of hardwood ply. And whoever did, well, the factory made a pattern out of it. It's not real hard to do. You cut pieces, you interchange the grain so that, you know, it goes one way, it goes the other way, blah, 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 blah. Not hard to do. But there you can see that they decided to make the things that hold it together out of particle board. Which is shit. Which is shit. Which is shit. But that's so typical of today's furniture. We are going to turn it into a real piece. Alright then. Sanding. We're going to sand this thing. What I've discovered is that this is not actually like real wood. It is a manufactured wood. That's the easiest way to explain it. It has grain pressed into it, but it is workable. And what I will do is I will sand this thing off. First I gotta take the hardware off of it. It has some attaching hardware so that it will mount to that. It's all pretty simple to take off. All I need is a Phillips screwdriver, and that is a large head, so should come off pretty easy. I guess we'll find out. Yep, coming off easy. The thing is, with particle board, you gotta be very, very careful about taking or putting screws and stuff in it. Especially when you take it out, you don't want to put any downward pressure because you'll screw up the threads that have been created by the screws when they went in the first time. And we were actually in luck because this is made in pieces, couple pieces together, and on the inside of that, if you remember looking at the pieces that I was showing you will break off very easily, it has a piece that fits in there that you can actually screw a piece into, and the same thing in this. So now that I've got the hardware off, I'll be sanding the shit out of this thing. Oh, I almost forgot. I'm using 40 grit, and this is a aluminum carbide paper, I think it is, and it's just longer wearing sandpaper. But I need to be very careful that I don't take the wood down too far, because I'll ruin it. I'll end up with particle board as my grain. Also, I just happen to think I'm using an orbital sander. It goes around in many different directions, basically in a circle, but also back and forth and whatever. It goes around and around. It doesn't go in a circular direction. It goes in many different directions in a circular motion. And the reason I'm using that is because if you use, say, a belt sander like that thing over there, then it will definitely ruin the grain that is in this fake wood. Okay, another thing I want to tell you about using an orbital sander is that the sander will do the work for you. You don't need to push. And right now I'm taking off the varnish, and if you can see what it's doing to the paper, it's actually collecting on that. And one of the things you can do to conserve on paper is take a wire brush, and you can actually get it off using a wire brush. I also use my thumbnail. If you have like brutal fingernails like I do, you can do that, but it will prolong the life of your paper. Sometimes I actually turn the sander on to do it, and this time I'm not going to, because there's just a little bit of pieces here and there. But it will definitely prolong your paper life, thus saving you some money. And that's how we do it. Kind of rednecky Appalachian way. The other thing about it, they make a block of kind of like a giant eraser, and they tell you that works to save your paper. I've tried it. It doesn't work. It's just crap. See? And what happens is you don't want that crap on there, because not only does it hold the sandpaper up off of what you're trying to sand, it will actually burn, and it won't catch fire, although that would be cool if you like fire. Fire! Sorry, lost it. Okay, done sanding the top here, and I want to show you something. Remember I told you about how you have to be careful how far down you sand with this stuff, because it'll ruin the grain. Here you can see the grain and what's going on. And there were a few really bad places. There were bad deep scratches in the surface of this particular piece, and in order to get them out, I had to take it down very far. And remember what I said about the particle board underneath? Well, watch as I move down along this grain. See what you see. Oh, what's that? That is the particle board underneath. And you're going to see another one here. Right there. Do you see that? Right in there? That is actually the particle board that is underneath. You do not want to do that if you don't have to. There's a way to retouch that, which we'll show you in another video. But I just wanted you to see what that looks like. And as we kind of back away from it, you can see it's kind of like a blemish. It's right there. Kind of looks like a blemish. There you go. It's all fucked up. One of the things you got to be careful of when you're working with this type of wood, where it's basically a veneer, which means it's put over another wood, is when you get close to the edges or corners, you cannot, I repeat, you cannot be too careful, because the wood is only so thick. And if you sand it down too far, you'll end up in the particle board, or like in veneer, you'll end up in the sublayer below that, and you will lose your grain.
Okay, that's all we have for this episode, and the next time we'll be doing some staining. I'll show you the last bit of the sanding, the pieces all laid out. My name is Ted Crow, and I am the Barefoot Craftsman. See you next time.